You rolling? Okay, sweet. If I sat at this angle and the mic is like right here, is that too far away or that's good? Like if I'm kind of like hanging out like this looking at them, is this too far away? You know what I'm talking about? Or
Oh, looks good.
looks and sounds good?
Yep.
All right, fuck yeah.
Let's
Sweet.
go then.
Let's do it.
All right, we're starting. All right. So what's up, everybody? My name is Miltrick. I'm your host, and this is Miltrick Media, a new podcast where we're diving into the music industry and who knows what. I don't want to keep it, we're just going to see where it goes because now I'm finally happy to have two great people on the podcast. Our first live interview guests on Miltrick Media. I really appreciate them coming out live in person. They came to Staten Island. It's a fucking trek. They made it. And we have Sam Miller Music and Groove Temple, two New York artists, musicians, and producers. Sam is a singer-songwriter, and Groove Temple is a producer. Both based out of New York, one in Brooklyn at the moment, one in New Paltz, but both originally from Long Island. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. And it's a pleasure to have you guys on the show. Thank you guys for stopping by. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Doing pretty good,
We're
man.
good.
I'm very happy to be here. This is probably only like the second interview I've ever done in my entire
for real?
life. So it's it's always like kind of like an interesting feeling, you know.
For sure. So, and
like-
is this like your first time on Staten Island in a while? This is like...
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I was out in Staten Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't really know anyone out here.
Oh, no,
Now I
yeah,
know
yeah.
you,
And it's a
so-
trek. Yeah, now we're at Hub
Yeah,
17.
you gotta take a boat to get out here.
You gotta take a boat. At least the boat's free, but great views. We got great views. I mean, nothing
was
wrong with
nice.
that. It was
Yeah.
nice, right?
Yeah.
No, it is. It's therapeutic sometimes. That's why I haven't taken it in a while, like a few months, but no, I love it. But let's dive right into it. So, Sam, you got new music coming out October 1st. Let's talk about this new single. What is the official title, and what can you tell us so far about it? What can we expect from this new song that's going to be dropping at the start of next month?
Well, this song is going to be a little more of kind of a mellow acoustic kind of thing. My last 2-3 songs were kind of like that, but a little more modern, indie, electric kind of sounding. And I kind of wanted to take kind of a break and tone it down a bit with this song. This song is called Always on My Mind. And
I think I remember you were telling me about
Yeah.
this a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. So you're finally getting it out there. No, I'm hyped because you were telling me about this, and I've heard some details behind the scenes about it. And yeah, man, like it sounds great. Like I got to see a little of your songwriting process. That was sick.
Yeah, dude.
Me and Sam went to Montreal, Canada, Quebec.
Oh, yeah.
We're world travelers now, man. Come on, like we're
There we
fucking
go.
yeah. That was the first time I really ever left the continental United States. But yeah, we went to Montreal, and I think I got to see him playing it a little bit, right? Where you were a little bit, but you were
Yep.
telling me about the process. So I'm hyped to see that you're finally just dropping it out in the world, man. That's sick.
Yeah, dude.
You're talking about your last song, though, like how you wanted to get a little bit away from it. The last song, and this is all out on all major platforms, is Sam Miller. I Just Don't Care was your last major release, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that had a lot of orchestral kind of instruments. Andrew really did a lot of writing on that one, too.
You produced that
and
song,
he
right?
produced it as well.
I produced it. I think when it came to the writing, he wrote like all the chords and stuff. I definitely tried to put my my little production flavor on it and put a bunch of synths and just a bunch of synths.
What is this? No, dude, it sounded great. Like, and you guys recorded it. You went to a studio, but no, you produced it what?
No, we did it
At
all.
your home or your
In his-
apartment?
in his
We
apar-
did
our
it all.
apartment.
Well, it
Hell yeah.
started off.
Oh. That's right.
I think at our grandparents' house. We were staying there for a little bit at quarantine. I brought my
nice.
little studio to the house,
Yeah.
and we did some sessions there, and then we polished it back up back at our apartment in Harlem at the time.
So, and my bad. I mean, I thought you were gonna say something, but I really want to hear this because, like, I love talking about like how do independent artists create? Like, what is their production rig and everything? So, talk about what is your gear that you use for this song. Like, you said you had that studio set up when you first started. What was your gear going into this? What do you use?
Well, I have my computers running Logic Pro.
Nice.
Which is it's the best.
It's the main DAW you use?
It's the only DAW I use.
Yeah.
I've tried other ones before, and I guess I could get into them if I was.
I honestly love
driven enough.
Logic, dude. Like even with Onion's, like the program they made, like we focus on Pro Tools, and like it was great. I learned a great amount of education on it, but
It's a
I
heavy
started using
software.
Logic, and I honestly love Logic so much more. I feel like it's so much
simpler.
easier for me, at least.
It's
like,
better
personally.
for like Pro Tools is definitely more for like it's a heavy software, more for like intricate audio engineering,
Yeah.
and not so much for creating. I'd say.
Logic, I could just
Logic,
get an idea out quicker, I feel.
Yeah.
It just feels more natural for me. I also started on GarageBand when I was in high school. Pro Tools was great, but I feel like it's also like it was a little more intimidating.
It is,
You know,
because
like-
there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extra steps that you have to do on that software as opposed to in Logic where it's just like the click of a button.
Yeah.
So I call it slow tools because
Slow
it's
Tools?
just like
You're throwing
so-
shade on Pro Tools, dude. They're gonna come and get us now. You can't. Come on, man.
I don't think they
in the
should be
future.
the
They're gonna
industry-
find this. They're gonna find this podcast on Staten Island. They're gonna be like, dude, look what Groove Temple said. That's it. He's done. Your career is over. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, we're done. That's it. Bye.
You're done. That's it. So, all right. So you have Logic. What kind of microphones do you use?
For this particular song, we just used like an SM58, which is like, for those that don't know, that's like the microphone for like most live venues that are used.
Yeah.
You know, they're using it anywhere from an open mic night to like Madison Square Garden. You know,
Oh, really?
it's just it's
Yeah,
just
it's one of the
it's
most
just like an
well-known mics.
industry standard microphone.
It's like $100. It's great. Like great.
It's
quality.
$100.
That's a good price.
It's like a fucking. Can we curse on here? Is that allowed?
Yeah,
All right.
dude.
it's
Yeah, you
it's
can
like
do whatever you want.
it's like a fucking hammer.
We're not
like,
CBS.
like-
We're gonna get hit by the
fucking
sponsors, man. It's our second episode. We're fucking done.
Yeah. Damn, I'm ruining your show here.
No, it's all good. What happened? So you use a 58 and you use Logic. No, that's great. I love when other people also tell
So
me
yeah,
about the
it's
behind
a
the
bunch of
scenes.
different plugins I've invested in over the years.
Yeah.
I would just do that because I totally illegally downloaded them.
Dude, I torrented the Logic I use.
I
It's
can't
like
buy that stuff.
after I dropped like 800 on Pro Tools like when I was 17 'cause I didn't know what I was doing. No, but I love Pro Tools. It's great. But then like I was able to like, get Logic, I got it in 2018. So like I haven't been able to update it, but like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
But like it's
Got it.
great.
You
And like I
make it
haven't even
work.
updated it. Yeah. I like the slow kit Rose drummer, the Logic drummer from 2018. It gives it a certain flair, man. Like
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah.
Why
good
update
good
it?
drum samples are where it's at. You gotta because
Yeah.
drums are like so.
It's hard to
They're
do it at
important.
home. So I tried to get like put like live drums. I have like a drum set I would try and set up, but like it's hard to do like certain live sounds at home. Like I realized like whatever's
Yeah.
best for the song. Like I use Splice a lot too. Like I'm realizing I
Splice
used
is
to.
good.
Did you feel this too as a producer? I used to like get myself all fucked up and thinking like, oh dude, like if you use samples, like you're a fucking like you're not a great songwriter producer. Like if you use samples.
Well, I think
I'll get
it
in my own head like I'm
depends-
cheating, but like no, that's not it
No.
at all. Whatever.
It depends
is
how
best
you're
for the
using the
song.
samples. Like if you if you just like take like an 8-bar loop that you got out of a sample pack and like didn't do anything to it, that's a little lazy.
Oh, so that's how you. That's what you think.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, there are a lot of pop songs that have like done that before and like they've gotten big, and it's just like you can use it for that.
I do get inspired
I just
by
think
some of
as an
it.
artist, like it's just more satisfying of a feeling to listen back and think, oh, I put a lot of work into that, as opposed to just say I just dragged a sample in and I called it a day.
No,
you
that's
know?
cool. That's cool.
So I think using samples is fine. It's how you work the samples,
Yeah.
and, like how you, sampling's like an instrument in a way. It's you can learn how to get better at it and like integrate it more artistically.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's true.
So another thing I wanted to talk about, before I Just Don't Care, you also released Peaceful Night was the name of the single, correct?
Yes.
So I remember you put out a music video for it, and the music video looks sick. You got some great shots in the water over the bridge. Like, what was that? Was that shot in New Paltz or that was Long Island?
That was actually shot in Socrates, New York.
So let's talk about that video. Like, did you direct it or no? Someone else directed it.
No, it was our
So
stepbrother
stepbrother.
Will,
Yeah.
who's in video and photography, and has
Nice.
been he even went to school for it and has been doing it for years and years. They got it like you guys. Well, I guess you could talk about it better than I could.
You produced a song.
Yeah, but he produced the
Produced
song.
a song. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely put my little flavor on there too.
Yeah. So let's talk about the creative direction for that video. What inspired that video?
Well, the song first was about just a peaceful night writing with my guitar in Socrates, New York. My parents own an Airbnb there, and they have a back dock, and
Yeah.
I just kind of was listening and trying to calm my mind, and I kind of wanted to write something like late 60s, hippie kind of vibe, kind of like Crosby, Stills, and Nash kind of thing. And I just started coming up with a riff, and the lyrics came later, but in terms of the video, that's kind of what the video is about, is when you see the video, it's all kind of shots that I wanted them to resemble how I pictured myself when I was writing the song.
Yeah.
So, it's all drone shots, which now I regret because it was very difficult to do drone shots. But it was really cool that we got some
That
great
did look
footage.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
Because especially over the water.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
cool shot. Like, because we were hiking, and me and Will, we saw the water, and I think Will was the one who suggested to shoot something in the water, me playing my guitar.
Yeah.
So me and him, when we're just together and we're shooting a video, we sometimes can get very creative and adventurous like that.
No,
and
yeah.
love doing that stuff.
Dude, why isn't that song on all services? Like, it's only on YouTube.
Yeah,
You
no,
should
I'm definitely gonna be dropping it. There was a little issue at the time with the recording of the release, and I had to take it down. But the video is out, and I'm definitely gonna be dropping the single very, very soon, so everyone could stream it on all streaming platforms.
Nice. No, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to you, Groove Temple. So you have 3 songs out in the services right now, and
Yes.
it wasn't. I'm sorry. I know the one I just listened to was Half a Man. That wasn't your most recent release, but that you did release that in the last year or so, right?
Oh, that one
yours?
came out, I want to say, like 2018, 2019.
I remember he even showed me that song like in the car too. Like, so what inspires your production style? Like, and also, yeah, run us through your production style.
Well, that song particularly, I was listening to a lot of, I'm always listening to a lot of like electronic music. There's always some kind of electronic influence in my music because it's like where my roots are, where, I started producing like house music initially. So that, as well as a lot of, I was listening to a lot of like Brian Wilson, Beach Boys-esque type of music.
That's a cool combo, and to see the dichotomy between you guys are twins. But like you talked about here, most recent release. Well, that release, you had like a late '60s vibe, and how you described it, and then you're talking about how like your roots are actually in electronic. So that's cool to see like the difference, and also when you guys work together, like that results in a cool end product, like mixing those influences.
Yeah, I love
think that's
trying to
pretty cool.
fuse the old with the new and trying to like come up with something that is kind of fresh and
Yeah.
but yet familiar at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could get a whole mix of people. I think also that can have some sort of connection with the music if you kind of bring all sorts of inspirations and elements into the song that you're writing.
Yeah.
And that really helps, I think, to also just expand yourself, expand your network, and really make not just one group of people happy, but you can make a lot of people happy with all sorts of stuff you put into your song. You don't want to get it to be
More
too
crossover potential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back, so talk us through the rest of what you started with Half a Man, that production process, that inspiration.
Well, it started. It started with just chords on the piano. I just wrote the chords. I didn't have really an idea of how it was going to sound in the end. I just had the chords on the piano. And then from there, it was just a lot of trial and error, like trying out different drum sounds, trying out different synth licks, until I got I could spend a whole day just like working on something that doesn't even end up being in the song.
Yeah.
And and eventually, as once I start to get sick of it, it's done. So it's like yes, that's pretty much it. I had the chords, and then I just, from then on, it's just like you have this blank slate. It's like you could do anything you want with the production. It could go anywhere you want. And I try to, like, just audition out so many different sounds before I finally pick one that I'm like, okay, that's going to be in the track.
Yeah. You guys more, when you start, lyrics first or melody first? What do you put more of an importance on when you're producing and creating, either together or when you're working on your own separate projects?
For me, the chords and the melody, because I've always had the opinion that, like, not that lyrics aren't important, but I've heard plenty of songs that have great lyrics but are just kind of maybe boring to listen to. There wasn't maybe as much attention to detail in the catchiness of the melody, and at least for pop music, if you're talking specifically about that, which is the angle I try to approach. I think it's very important to have some ear candy in there, to have a melody that people can remember, and then you could put any words with it, and then people will still remember it because
So
of the
definitely
melody.
a melody guy.
Yeah.
Do you feel you're the same or you're different?
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar in that way where I write the melody first, usually in the chords. The lyrics usually come last, but then there's some times where I do write the lyrics first. It just kind of depends how I'm feeling. But usually I suck at lyrics, so I'm not. It sometimes could take me a whole few months just to write lyrics to one song.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes because I'm lazy, but sometimes I have to put in a lot more effort than other people, which is okay.
Yeah, whatever.
But,
it's all an individual process. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, and then, there isn't, it's kind of usually the same way. Music and chords first, lyrics last.
So you guys are twins, you're brothers, and you've worked on projects together. So what is the best part about working together as twins? Because I feel like, being a twin is different from just having a regular sibling, right? So, like...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure
I
is.
think the best part about, working together on a song is, like, you just know each other so well. We, like, grew up on a lot of the same stuff.
You were telling me that a couple weeks ago, too, yeah.
And so it's like, if there's, like, a certain sound you have in your head, it's just, like, easier to communicate that to somebody that you, like, grew up listening to the same stuff with, as opposed to, like, you just meeting a producer and they're, like, not quite sure, like, the palette of sounds you have in your brain. So it's definitely a lot easier to just, like, you were joking in the car, like, this, like, telekinetic kind of stuff, but it's kind of true in a way. Like,
it's scary
it's
sometimes.
like, you know exactly, like, what they're, it's like he knows exactly what I'm thinking. Sometimes I'll know exactly what, like, in terms of music, I know exactly what, like, he's, like, looking for. He's just got to give me, like, a brief description. I'm like,
so I'm gonna cause a problem in the family now. So you get signed to Universal, you get $100,000 advance, and you get your choice of producer to make your 12-song debut album, but you only could pick one producer. So, all right, you got $100,000 on the table. So, are you picking Groove Temple over here, or are you going with your other options? Like, you have to answer in 10 seconds.
Oh, God.
$100,000 advance from Universal. Sir Lucian Granger's, like, breathing down your neck. Like,
think
Sam, make a choice.
Well, I think I'd pick Groove Temple and another producer. I think Andrew would also like the opportunity to work with
I would love to.
we could all kind of work on it together.
Yeah. But he would be at least one half the executive production deal. You have him and someone else.
Cool, just
that's
to try
tight.
out some, because sometimes it's not.
It's good to have.
You have to.
It's
you
like
wanna
Billy
have
and
variety
Phineas.
Of opinions sometimes.
It's like Billy and Phineas, like with their debut record, like they're a tight production unit, but they also they had like one or two. I don't know if they had, at least with the second record they may have, but it's like
I think maybe their last record, now that they have like pull in the industry, like I'm sure I haven't looked into it, but I would imagine they at least got someone to at least listen to it and give them their opinions.
Yeah. So, but you both have your own solo songs out, and you both have been the vocals on those songs. So how long have you guys both been singing? Who started singing first?
Oh, we both did the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Since we were very little.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When did you guys start?
Started
like toddler age.
Yeah, I mean I think the first
there's videos of us like just when I'd say like maybe we started like seriously singing and performing like around the age of like maybe like 10.
Yeah, I'd say
but
that.
like we'd always just been like screaming our heads off singing songs
like Billy
when we were
Joel
little.
and Beatles and like all those bands that we'd listened to when we were little.
Yeah.
That's how we got started. We just loved music more than, when kids our age were playing soccer or Little League baseball, we were like pretending to play air guitar.
Yeah.
So like it's just a matter of what you like more than another activity, and we just really liked singing and playing music, and we couldn't get enough of it. So we were doing it our whole lives pretty much.
So I'll start with you. What are your biggest influences musically?
That's a good question. There's so many, dude. I mean, I guess, Billy Joel, being from Long Island, that's kind of like forced
Long
upon
Island.
you.
I saw him in summer of 2018. I went with my parents and my aunt, because I think that was like he was celebrating either his 100th show at the Garden, but I saw him in the summer of 18, and like it fucking ripped. He was great. Like he was. I've never seen him live, but like it was great, and that was in 2018.
He does a great show.
Insane. Yeah.
Seeing I remember distinctly being a kid. Watching footage of him doing his song "Angry Young Man," where he's just like going
crazy,
and I'm like, oh, that's so cool,
I think my parents saw him at Shea. Saw him at Shea in like 1990.
Oh wow!
And like, I think my dad was like, he did a tour with Elton John back then.
Yeah.
And it was at Shea Stadium, and like my parents went. They went with, I don't know if a couple other family members, but he saw them. They saw them back then. They saw him back then. But yeah, it was great to see him. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Billy's a big influence.
Billy's a
for
big
you.
one. I mean, a lot of like, like the top like classic rock artists, that my parents would play me a lot would be like Billy Joel, Beatles, Beach Boys, Electric Light Orchestra, Steely Dan, and then just tons of classic rock. And then I got into electronic music. I started with house music. I was listening to a lot of Daft Punk. And then from there, I just started exploring a bunch of different like French house artists, Justice, Mr. Oiseau, Sebastian, all on like this one label called Ed Banger, which was putting out some quality music at the time. And then from there, I moved on to I started listening to like trance music, which is like another genre of electronic. I was on like a huge dubstep kick when like Skrillex got big.
Yeah, I do love his first 2 EPs. Like that was
like
my
Scary
introduction.
Monsters. Dubstep is like so saturated and like been done at this point. But when in like 2010 when he came out with Scary Monsters
In middle school, yeah.
I was
for
like,
me.
whoa, holy shit! Like I've never heard something like this before. So I was super impressed by that.
But Daft Punk was your
But
introduction
Daft
to
Punk
electronic
was like
music?
my introduction to electronic music and producing.
Oh, okay.
That was like, well, they were like the reason I wanted, like, because it's like they would talk about like, oh, we would make this in our house. That's why it's called house music. People would buy gear and just like drum machines and synths, and I'm like, well, I could do that. I have like GarageBand on my computer.
Yeah.
And then in the last few years, I've just been listening to a lot of different indie bands, indie electronic, indie. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then so specifically love Flying Lotus. Tame Impala is great. I mean,
Dude, I saw Flying Lotus
everywhere.
at Brooklyn Mirage last month. It was insane.
Oh, I wanted to go to that
was
show.
insane.
I saw Flying Lotus. He did a show at Brooklyn Steel, and it was like a 3D
It's a great venue, yeah.
3D show.
Wow.
Everyone got 3D glasses, and he had this whole like laser light show going on. It
Oh,
was,
shit.
it was
Sounds
so
awesome.
fun.
That sounds wild.
Yeah, and I mean, and with his music and those visuals, it's like crazy. And then I love King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Thundercat. A new artist I've just been getting into recently, Dev Lemons. She just put out this track. I heard some other producer. It's really good. I could just sit here and name you artists for like an hour if you wanted me to.
No, yeah,
it's
all good. That's
there's so
awesome,
much
yeah.
stuff out there.
That could be a whole nother
But it's
podcast.
cool to see
Yeah.
how, like, mine too, like, because when I was younger, like, I only had, like, my parents' music, and they were both, they were both born in the early 60s, so they had a lot of classic rock artists that they grew up with from the 60s to the 80s, and even the 90s, but that was, like, the first artist that I got into, like, the Stones, The Who, like, Bruce Springsteen, like Jimi Hendrix, and all those, like,
Love
Led
Jimi
Zeppelin,
Hendrix.
and even, like, up to 90s, like, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, but, like, yeah, Beach Boys, the Beatles, so it's, like, that was my first introduction to music as well, what made me even want to do music, those classic rock bands. Like, I saw The Who and the Rolling Stones, like, in the fall of 2006, like, a week apart, and, like, seeing them being in their 60s, and they're fucking selling out stadiums and arenas still, and I was, like, 8, and I'm just, like, this is insane that, like, they've been doing it, like, once I was, like, that was when I guess I was old enough to start registering stuff in pop culture, like, when they're, like, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And you go to this thing, and it's, like, you see, like, 40-year-olds getting, like, they're getting tipsy on a Tuesday, they're going crazy, and this is, like, at Giant Stadium. I was like, this is fucking great, this is fun as hell. I was, like, 8, and I see people getting sloshed. Like, I saw a couple in front of me make out, they spilled the beer on my leg, and I was, like, 8, and, like, yeah, like, my dad got upset, like, dude, they spilled a fucking Bud Light on you, dude, like, are you all right? But, like, it was just great, like, the
part of
whole
the
experience was
process.
amazing.
That's how it is.
And there was all these classic rocks like that, and that was the first thing that inspired me. And then I got more into, like, of course, like, I was inspired by too, like, alt metal, then, like, 2000s and 2010s hip hop, so R&B, and then even I got into, like, electronic, like, once, like, Skrillex was my introduction, I think, into electronic music too, because he became so, like,
because all the pop music was trying to like do dubstep for a while. They would like every song would have to have,
and
like,
it
a
broke
little
through,
dubstep
like, even
beat.
for, like, when that was our age, like, we were like 12, 13, we heard the wobbly wob wobs, and that sounded awesome.
Yeah,
It was because it was so, at the time, it was so different. Like, yeah, I think that was my
so
introduction
different
to electronic.
from. I mean, there was a lot of argument at the time about like
and then, like, Chemical
that,
Brothers too, like
Chemical Brothers.
because that's where I knew my dad. Like, the Chemical Brothers and like the Prodigy too. Like they're from the '90s, but yeah.
You listen to like Aphex Twin or Square Pusher.
I've heard of Aphex Twin, but I haven't listened. I gotta check it out. The other
he's
one
nuts.
just mentioned.
I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, I think one of the most innovative artists of all time. With some of the stuff he was putting out in the '90s, there was just nobody doing that. Like the sounds that he would Yeah, he was like, I mean, he started, he put out some stuff starting in the 80s. Like, he has his, like, selected ambient songs, like, 85 to whatever. But his, like, real, like, kick was, like, in the 90s. I mean, his most popular track, if a good introduction to him would be Window Liquor.
Window Liquor?
They're, like...
That's a great title.
Yeah.
Window Liquor.
The EP that it's on, there's Window Liquor. There's another track on there that, has a long name, but it's called Formula, which is just, like... And there's that song, Formula, there's like I think what really inspired me is like, it's not like any song you've heard, there's no chords, there's no like, it's sounds.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's just.
The sonics, it's like, that fucking can sometimes get you.
And it like kind of like made me like really think like, all right, well, it's like people have been doing the whole pop song formula for a while. Songs have chords, songs have melodies, and they don't have to have that,
Yeah.
You can have, it kind of goes back to that question of like, what is music?
Yeah.
And
be whatever you want it to be, technically.
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's true.
What about your biggest influences? Made you want to start doing music?
Well, same one, Billy Joel, but the other, I have a little more of a difference of influences, more on the classic rock side. So I like Paul Simon is one of my favorites. I like Paul McCartney is one of my biggest influences. Paul McCartney, I personally think he was one of the best songwriters out of all for the Beatles, which is a very controversial opinion, but I just think his chords, his melodies, and his way of writing is just so cheery, and everyone could kind of those songs where everyone could sing along to at a bar. Mm-hmm. It's like they had the most earworms for me, and I really liked how he wrote his songs. For instance, the song I have coming out on October 1st is kind of a Paul McCartney-esque vibe I was going for.
Oh, so that was a big influence for this song coming out.
Yeah, I was like just sitting in my bed during quarantine, and I wanted to write something like that. And I made it my own, but it really was an influence off Paul McCartney and his style of writing.
Yeah.
So he was another one. I love Genesis and Phil Collins. As I've really been getting into them recently over the past few years. Yeah. Peter Gabriel is one of my other biggest influences. And those are pretty much my influences. Of course, I love all these other rock bands, classic rock, that I grew up listening to like he did. Yeah. Elton John, you name it.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So how do you guys... now it's like, especially everything's coming back, but now we all have like our regular lives, our 9 to 5s, and we're trying to do creative products on the side. How do you guys balance work life and musician life? Do you feel it's overwhelming sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like the balance? Like, how do you guys find that balance? Run me through that.
I still am trying to find the balance. It's probably one of the most difficult things to accomplish and feel good about, because when you want to be a musician, that's all you ever want to do. And it's a very, very challenging career. And you want to make sure that whenever you're writing or producing, that you're feeling inspired and you're in a happy
You don't want to force it, too, because that sucks. That takes the fun out of it. And sometimes you have to walk away. And then sometimes I've noticed myself, like, that makes me feel like shit sometimes. Like, oh, come on. Like, you're supposed to just finish it. Like, just finish it. But then I'm realizing it's okay to walk away. You're forcing it. Then it's like, then it comes out strained. And it's like, you listen back in a couple of days. It's like, you know what? I'm not satisfied with this either.
Right.
Yeah,
well, that's exactly true. And that's why you always want to make sure that even if you don't get something done when you're writing, let's say you're writing a little bit every day, and then other parts of the day you're doing this, or other parts of the day you're doing that. When you're scheduling it into your schedule, which I think is very important, writing, playing music, you should, even if you don't come up with something good, at least you're still doing it.
Yeah, you're getting the reps out.
You're getting it out of you. Yeah. And I feel like if you just try to schedule your music and your writing, you treat it just as important as your day job,
Yeah.
You know, because it's your life. Music is your life, and you want to be happy.
And and then one day it could replace it. Yeah, if you put that in your mind first, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, you know, it's okay to keep your options open, but still focus on your dream. And that's what I've learned. It's a grind, it's a challenge, but you do it because you love it.
As long as you know, if you have in your head like I'm not going to give up, then you already won in a way. As long as you know, because like there's no, everyone's journey with it is different. That's what I'm realizing. Yeah, there is no time limit. That was liberating for me this year too. I realized that it's like, so like, listen, as long as you're still like finding a way to live and survive, but you're also still pursuing it. It's like, fuck it. If it happens, like when it happens, it happens. When it happens, it happens.
Exactly.
And what about you? How do you feel about that?
About
finding that balance between like.
I mean, when I'm not working, I'm doing music.
Yeah.
You know, like so. That's you know, that's not even work to me. That's like what I do.
That's the beauty of it.
Right. You know, so like I love producing for my free time. I like going to open mics in my free time. The only so you know, that's kind of the balance for me is just whenever I go to work, and once that's done, it's music mode. So
that is true. Every time I come home, he'd had his headphones on and just all day, all night, till 2, 3 in the morning, just on his computer making beats.
Yeah, I'm looking for some new places too. Like you even mentioned open mics. Like what are some open mics that you've hit up in the city?
I've been since I moved to Brooklyn, I've been meaning to check some of these out. I haven't gone yet.
Candy bar, right?
Yeah, Pete's Candy Store. I've been hearing some.
I've heard. I gotta check that venue.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
And oh god, now you asked me the question.
I've heard about also. I heard about also. Well, Hub 17 had a creative mixer a couple weeks ago. That was a great time. That was a great event. And I've heard about this one in Parkside Lounge, Lower East Side, like Inspire Word. I think they have one every Monday and Tuesday. I found out about it through like Explore page. Pete's Candy Store I've heard about.
Yeah, there's
one at the bitter end too. I think every Wednesday night they have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I think you have to like pay for though.
Yeah. Well, anything weekly, at least that's cool. They have something weekly.
Yeah. But that's the thing with the city. A lot of these ones they like make you pay to do the open mic, which I think is a little ridiculous. Like the whole idea of an open mic is to like.
I guess I understand. Like, well, like I know I've seen like
it's just a way to squeeze
general
extra money
admission.
out of people.
Like, whatever.
I don't know. I feel like, well, I mean, I guess it's sort of like a way to maybe prevent like artists that aren't as serious to like if there's someone that really wants to play and like thinks they have something to show, then I guess they'll pay. But I don't know. I just feel like. I always just saw it as like a way to like squeeze extra money out for the bar. But
how do you guys? I want to ask this too. Talking about balancing work life and everything else, how do you avoid burnout? Because I've definitely felt like that's. I feel like exhausted.
I feel like if you're gonna be working another job to make an extra pay, like pay your bills and stuff, and you're not making enough money off your music, you need to make sure that. Whatever job you're working at, the people are nice, you have a good boss. And it's not that it shouldn't be easy, like, it's just you want to make sure you like it. At least you can tolerate it. You're not getting up every day and like, I got to go to work. I just want to sit back and write. You want to like what you're doing no matter if it's music or whatever job you have. I think if you're going to stay at a miserable job and you don't like it, you're not going to feel inspired to write when you get back home or when you have your free time to write music. You want to make sure, because I feel like when you're happy and you're feeling inspired is when you write the best stuff, when you're happy, not when you're stressed out or sad.
Because I was also talking about, because I felt this too, the burnout with when you're trying to be an independent artist and producer, you don't have a label behind you. I've got burned out where I'm trying to manage not just writing and producing, but then like the mixing and then like trying to do social media promotion, registering my songs, making sure the release went well, getting cover art done, planning photo session, like being my own artist manager. I meant with that too, like
how
do you find the balance?
That's a different
how do you find, how have you, because you guys have had releases out and everything, like I've definitely felt it, like how have you found burnout with, let's say, like how have you navigated writer's block, like burnout with, let's say, writer's block, trying to wear the other hats associated with being a musician, like the releases, the business part, covered. I
think I've personally never like experienced. I mean, maybe other than like during quarantine, like I don't think there's ever been a period of life where I like just like couldn't write or like.
No, that's great.
Couldn't or like even if I have like a rough day at work, like that's like coming home to make music is sort of like the light at the end.
The
of
oasis,
the tunnel.
yeah.
And when I do experience like writer's block. something I'll do. Well, there's a good thing to do for any artists that might be listening. Like, record every single damn idea you have.
Voice memos.
Voice memos. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
I have
10,000.
so I have like probably like 10 hours worth of voice memos
Yeah.
on my computer. If I ever like have a chord progression and I can't think of something else
Yeah.
to go with it, I'll just go through the voice memos that that goes back like a few years, and like I'll like just see if I find something I like, because like you don't remember everything. It's like you're like reminding yourself like, oh yeah, I forgot I recorded that, you know.
I fuck
then-
myself because I'm like, get this idea out, yeah, just get it out, like record like you doing something with your voice, whatever, and then like I just like, yep, save, and like a lot of times I would not give it a title, so I have like new recording 1168, and I'm like, what the fuck was this? I don't even go back
yeah.
to remember,
You
and I
gotta
have
organize it.
so many, and I didn't organize them, and I'm like, I'm just like throwing them into the abyss on my iPhone, and like I gotta go through and like listen to them and remember what it was, but yeah, I'm like,
Were you asking though, in terms of the question though, was it more about how do you get burnout with dealing, like you're literally running your own business?
yeah,
Is that where you're gearing towards?
yeah. And yeah,
I love it,
that first part of the
personally.
business. Like, yeah, because like when you're really trying, if you really like, yeah, getting burnout with the other parts of being a musician.
Like promotion and stuff.
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Have you felt that before?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, many times, especially since I'm not the most tech savvy person. I never have been, and sometimes I can be a little shy and really getting myself out there. And being a musician and without having someone doing all that stuff for you, it forces you to push yourself.
Yeah.
To not, give a fuck and really try to promote yourself. And you also have to, if you're feeling stuck with promotion or you're feeling burnt out, that's why to me writing a schedule for me every day is so important.
So you found writing down that schedule does help.
Yeah, with
That's
anything,
cool.
I found that, so let's say you have work and then you say, okay, now I'm going to come home, I'm going to make dinner, and then I'm going to focus a little bit on the promotion, then I'm going to take out my guitar and I'm going to just write a little bit. I don't care what I get done today, as long as I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Every little bit you can fit into your day counts. As I think if you break it up and you just kind of really organize what you got to do every day,
Yeah.
and you really just stick with your schedule, you can make it all happen.
That is great though, because you're forcing yourself, but you're planting that seed, like let's say at the beginning of the week or the day. So like you're getting your mind ready, where it's like, all right, I'm gonna do this at least when I get home, and so it kind of also
Yeah.
gets you hyped up too, because then maybe it'll
You're
result.
excited to go home,
It's
and you know it's
premeditated.
coming up. At the end of the day,
It's
you
premeditated.
get to promote yourself. You get to do what you love at the end of the day.
I've also felt
You
that
know?
with working too. Yeah, I meant it more like because I'm trying to also like because everything what we learned at school too. It's like I'm also just trying to like. I want to get into the other hats because I'm realizing like that's just as important as just like making music, because like you have some artists who, they have a great wealth of a catalog, and some people have a smaller catalog, but some people have attained a great dedicated fan base. I'm not even talking about mainstream artists, and it's like it's also because of how they promoted and marketed
Yeah.
themselves. And I
Right.
love a part of me loves learning about the marketing aspect too, but a part of me also wishes I could just like not worry about that at all. I just want to focus on, let's say, like writing some songs, songwriting and producing, and just putting it out there and not promoting it, wishing it could just speak for itself. I'm realizing it doesn't, of course.
Yeah,
no matter
well,
what. You have to do marketing no matter what. That's why there's
Yeah.
labels for that, or
I mean-
even by yourself. Some independent artists, they put fucking real money behind it, or they have great marketing or promo tactics, or they have an audience. But yeah, like I'm realizing you need the marketing no matter what. That's what I'm coming to. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it
fascinating.
depends on the personality.
sometimes
I've
tedious.
noticed. Personality depends on, like as you're saying, you could have not a lot of songs out, but still have way more of an audience than some guy who's been doing it for 10 years and has
Yeah.
50 albums out.
Exactly.
It depends how you market yourself. It's all about marketing, and thank God for social media, because
Yeah,
it's
right?
such an easy way to get your name out there. And it's become, I think, in a way, and that's how social media is a blessing and a curse.
It's like a catch-22. Yeah.
It's like social media is good in some ways, it's bad in other ways, but I think for marketing, man, it's a lot less pressure on an artist.
Like the balance, so that's why it's like, yeah, like if you find a great balance, like you know how to like put your phone down for like, let's say you just want like a night to tune out, that's great too. And then like
Yeah.
you get like charged up instead of like your eyes get exhausted or bloodshot, because like, yeah, I've definitely done pointless scrolling, and like you see like an hour or two goes by and it's like, fuck man, like I'm just like, you gotta do better, like you're wasting time, like don't just do it so pointlessly.
Right.
That's happened to me 100%. Yeah.
And I've noticed too that this is from my own personal observation. I don't know if everyone has their own opinion on this, but to make connections within the music industry and to get people to follow your page and to hear your music, people who don't even know you. I feel like social media is great for that. You used to have to just go gig all the time to get any sort of following. Before social media, an A&R guy would come and sign you up. And now an A&R guy doesn't come to you have to come to them. So it's still good. You still want to promote yourself by playing live, because you could still get a few people to follow you who really like your music. They come like, hey, I really like that. What's your Instagram? So that's another follower. But I feel like sometimes you get way more nowadays just by posting videos than going and actually playing live.
That's what I think the best. I think like what you said. Like I agree. Like I think the answer is an approach where it implements both. Like if you could find a way to like get really savvy and like make the right content and market it the right way, but then also you're out and about, you're going to live events,
still
performing.
Want to play live.
If you combine it, 100%. Like I think that's a great answer. Like if you do both, if you're doing live, you're networking, you're meeting people in person, you're building it organically, and then you're also putting out great content. That's like a recipe for success because you're doing both.
Yeah.
People, it's all individual. People could like find success one way or the other.
Of course.
It's all different, but like I'm realizing
it's a random game, man.
I'm realizing for me at least too. Like if I think I want to try now focusing heavy the next few months on doing both. I think maybe it'll work out.
Of course.
So,
awesome.
Do you think that musicians and artists are better off nowadays with all these extra tools, or do you think they were better off decades ago?
Oh, absolutely. It's not even a question. I mean, you don't even need a label anymore. Yeah. You can start your... Well, here's the thing is the music, the publishers and the labels are the ones that write the laws for the music business to fuck over the artist. Because constantly throughout history, you keep hearing stories of of big artists that are in legal disputes over money, like who's like not being properly compensated for their art. Whether it's like they can't own their masters, or just whatever kind of contractual thing that may come about. It's always results in the artist getting fucked over. Now and you had to just deal with it as an artist, because the only way you were going to be able to get yourself out there was through those major labels. Now, you don't need them. You can get your own followers, and you can be your own publicist, and you can register to start your own label and be your own publisher. If I was in a major label right now, I'd be scared, because like we're now in a time when the artist can now take back control. A good example would be, I know Chance the Rapper did it all independent. Like me personally, like I would never want to like ideally I would like to get my followers through social media and have my own label that I release just only my music through, and I get publishing, I own my master recordings, I produce my own music, I write the music, and I get to own everything. That's what I'm realizing is great. Like that's the hardest part. Like I'm realizing a part of it is it's simple but not easy. If you produce and if you own your masters, and if you produce your own songs and you own your masters, and you can make a great living only if you find a way to like build like a dedicated following. Because like if you are the rights holder and you get like I did the math, like just Spotify alone. If you get 30 million streams on Spotify alone, you'll average, let's say, if you're the rights holder, you'll get about like between $120,000 to $160,000 a year as the rights holder. So like if you have a dedicated following and you own your masters, you could have a great lucrative career off streaming royalties. Absolutely. That's the thing. Like it's still like so much leverage to be the rights holder. It's just that's a hard thing. Like how do you get the following? A lot of artists don't own their masters, and so they have to compensate for that by overwhelming, rigorous touring schedule, and not that it's I'm realizing as an artist, as well as merch, like, doing branding deals. I don't want to be on the road 10 months of the year if I don't have to. Like I would love to play shows and tour, but like I feel like I would get burned out if I had to be on the road like 12 months of the year. It'd be cool to like whenever you wanted, but you still have money from like owning your masters, stuff like that. That's even what you were talking about. Like that's why I think it is a great time now more than ever, because now there's so much knowledge at artists' fingertips. If they want to learn it, like it's out there now. Especially you go on YouTube. You can learn so much. You look up how to like register for your own record. Yeah, like 50 years ago, how were you gonna do that before? Artists you just had to come across, just be lucky and come across the right book. That was the only way you could. Now you can just go online.
That's the best part. Now there is, if you want to seek it out, there's so much information available to artists, and they could learn so much that artists didn't know in the past. And that's what I think is great, because then they can, if they build a following or whatever their respective deal or like what their journey in the industry is, like you now could have so much knowledge where you could still work with companies or labels, but then you have so much more knowledge. Yeah, you go in with more leverage, which I think is the best for artists, and that's great for the industry moving forward. Like the more knowledge out. So do you guys, 2021, is this still a reason for record labels to exist?
I do.
I think, you know,
I do too as well.
It's very difficult.
I think record labels
I think it's changed. I think it's changed. The roles have changed.
I don't necessarily see
evolved.
the point of like a big conglomerate label like Capitol Records or something like that, where the way I've always envisioned labels going forward in the future is that every artist owns their own label, that they release their own music through. I mean, if you want to take up other artists too to go on your label, go for it. But I've always saw it as like you register your own label. You're the only one on that label. You're the only one that releases your music, and every artist should have their own label that they release their music through, so that they can. And when it comes to promotion, when it comes to all that stuff, if you need extra help, you hire that person on your own terms. You run the label.
Or they just change, the laws to allow musicians to make more money off their royalties.
You mean if the rates change?
Well, right now,
that's possibly on the horizon.
Yeah.
Right now, streaming, dominates has been dominating how people have been listening to music for the past few years, and there's been a lot of arguments over, the morality of like on the streaming end of things, like how artists are being compensated. I think like, on Spotify, one stream equals like
half a penny.
Not even.
But that's the thing. I have read Spotify generates so much money, but they do pay out over 50% of their revenue to rights holders. That's what I'm realizing.
That's the problem.
Rates can
it's
change,
not going
but
to the artist.
It's rights holders. That's the thing. So that's what I go back to. If you find a way to get a sizable audience, but if you're the rights holder, you can make a decent revenue stream off that.
There were all these
problem is also that. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was like when Spotify first became big, there was all those lawsuits at the beginning because the labels weren't happy that they weren't getting as much money as they wanted to. Now they're happy because they did back end deals with Spotify and they're getting the money they feel they deserve. But it's again, like you said, it's for the rights holders. It's the labels. They write the laws for the industry, not the artists. So it's about time that the artists started becoming a part of the industry and benefiting from those laws. I think there are though,
right? Yeah, because now
because again, you can start your own label now.
Yeah, and so many more musicians and producers. They have more and more producers and creators are getting that industry knowledge, which is great. And I'm realizing too, no matter what, you're gonna have to do the work on your own first. No matter what, before you go forward with a label or a company, you have to find a way to build a fan base on your own first. That's not going to change. That's not going anywhere. And I think that's better for the artist too, because then it's you're doing the work on your own and you have this community of your own. I think in 2021 record labels are still important. It's just their roles have changed. I think you're still going to have to find a way to build your own fan base, and then labels still have advantages. I'm realizing it depends on what you want for your journey as an artist. If you want to be on top 40 radio or modern rock radio, labels could definitely still help with that. It's going to help with major playlisting. If you want to have international recognition, they're definitely going to have the clout with that. It's all dependent, I'm realizing, on the artist. But you don't if you want to be independent and you want your own phone control and you want your own community and you want to do it at your own pace, then you could do whatever. That's the beauty of it.
The clout,
the thing is
it's all dependent on the person.
It's not easy to have your own label. It takes many years to build up, and if you're very good with promotion and you're more extroverted and you can really get out there and do your own business, that's great. He's right in that way where every artist, the goal is that artists should be making money off their music, whether they have their own record label or whether the laws get updated with streaming.
Yeah.
That's the goal, this is however you do it. I think either one, if an artist wants to have their own record label, great.
Yeah,
but that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
sometimes you need money, you need help.
Yeah, you need help.
So I think record labels are still very important.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
There's
definitely
pros and
still
cons
pros
now.
They still have a lot of they still have a lot of power in cloud, but I think now more than ever, like artists and musicians have more options because of technology, which I think is great. So it's up to you whether like what path and road you want to go down.
Yeah,
they definitely
just depends.
But no, like it is maybe it is. I was losing my train of thought and I was fumbling it, so I'm just gonna like stop and restart. But yeah, that's the best part. There's more resources out there than ever. Where do you guys think the industry is going?
Well, like I said before, I think the more artists figure out that they don't actually need a label, the less you're gonna.
Like
I
AI
think
and everything.
you're gonna start to see. Oh well, AI is a whole.
All that
other
stuff,
thing.
like the algorithms, artificial intelligence. Now you have like the cryptocurrencies possibly coming in with like generating new forms of music, the NFTs. Like I think it's going in a really interesting direction.
Yeah,
coupled with the barriers.
I'm personally
of production being torn down, like the barriers of entry.
I'm personally very excited to see the future of the art making with AI, like how music is going to be made with AI.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of new sounds and new effects to be made that haven't been invented yet because we haven't fully, this AI technology is still in its infancy, and there's this video I saw on YouTube where an AI AI tries to like complete a song. So basically this artificial intelligence is fed multiple, so like let's say the video was like AI tries to finish Take On Me by Aha. The AI is fed multiple songs from the 80s, learns these songs, and then so the video starts, it plays like the first 30 seconds of the real song, and then it transitions into the AI's interpretation of the song. And it sounded like it was this warped, garbled mess, but it was really cool. There were sounds in there, certain sounds and effects that I was hearing.
That does sound cool that the machine was able to do it on its own.
In this AI that I don't think you can achieve any other way.
It's only going to get more advanced. Yeah.
So there's going to be new plugins coming out that will utilize new technology that. I mean, again, I get overwhelmed thinking about it because
there's just
like
it sounds great.
Because there's so much stuff that is a technology that is yet to have been invented, and I personally have been saying I would love to try and link up with a dedicated musician that also happens to work in artificial intelligence or computer programming, and would like to try to create new effects. And new sounds
for sure,
because that's that to me is just one of the most beautiful things about art, is like just doing something that's just never been done before and utilizing this new thing that just came out.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up soon, but where do you guys see yourself in the future? Where are your biggest dreams and aspirations for your career as musicians? Do you want to be the biggest artist in the world? Do you want to just get by playing gigs? What are your dreams and aspirations for being a musician? End game.
I think I try not to make too much of a plan because you never know where it's gonna go. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily saying I plan to be the biggest artist in the world, but I'd certainly am trying to get a significant following and would love to play big shows, big festivals, big venues, and just have a very, very lucrative career in music.
Yeah. What about you?
I've always been all over of this kind of question when I was younger and starting out, but I think I've come to a conclusion now that I've been through so many different feelings and emotions of music and how I want to do it. And I think the answer for me is that I want to make people happy with my music because it makes me happy to make other people happy with music. And I think if I can just do that, whether I become famous or I'm the biggest artist in the world or whatever, whatever happens, as long as I'm doing what I love and I'm performing.
Yeah.
That's to me a success.
Yeah.
And I try nowadays not to look, of course, I'm not going to BS myself. It'd be amazing to be famous and blow up everywhere. It'd be great. Who doesn't want that? But I was watching a video of John Mayer, and he said that let's say you put out a song, it gets like a few hundred views. Are you gonna, or like you sell a few hundred albums? Are you gonna say stuff? Oh my God, I wanted to sell 1 billion albums or 1 million albums. Oh, that's not enough. That's that's already a bad ad. You want to just you're doing it. As long as you're doing it, no matter if you're playing a coffee shop or a stadium, you're a successful musician. You should be happy with it.
No, yeah, for sure. You started playing recently again too. You've been playing some gigs in upstate New York. You're playing in Warwick, New York, New Paltz. How those gigs been going so far?
Oh, been great. The crowds are great up there. Yeah. Very chill vibe.
Yeah.
People just really get into the music up there, and it's a very naturey kind of scene. Is really chill and relaxed. So I love performing up there.
No, and that's great. I'm happy to see that you're back gigging like regularly, and you're getting more shows and everything. Yeah, that's great. And that you've been enjoying it. So you've been throwing in a mix of covers and some originals, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
Please don't answer the covers, and then you'll reel them into the originals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this episode of Miltrick Media. My guests, Sam Miller and Groove Temple. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. Thank you so much for joining me, especially live. I'm really happy you guys came in live. This is great. You guys are my first official guests on the new podcast. I'm really happy you guys came on. Thank you for coming all the way to Staten Island, New York, Richmond County,
baby,
to come to Hub 17. But on that note, yes, this is the end of this episode of Miltrick Media. Thank you guys again for coming on. And
my pleasure, yeah.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. Definitely. And we'll be back soon with more episodes and more interviews.
Peace.
Sweet.